My father once lifted up my mattress and found $30,000 hidden there. Before I could even react, he announced that he had already spent it, on my sister's honeymoon. I sat frozen, and then my grandfather walked in, looked me straight in the eyes, and asked, "Son, where is the money I trusted you to keep safe?" My father turned to me, and suddenly the whole house exploded into chaos. My name is Daniel. I am 29 years old. I live on the edge of the city with my parents, Frank and Linda, and my younger sister, Emily. For as long as I can remember, I have carried the weight of this family. I work as a delivery driver. It is not glamorous, and it does not pay much, but if I grind hard enough, it covers the bills. Electricity, water, food, and the internet that my sister uses all day for her social media. That is where my money goes. Every peso I earn is stretched thin just to keep this house running. And even though I feel like a beast of burden most days, I have never said a word against it. My parents are both 58 years old. They claim they are too old to work. My father, Frank, spends his afternoons glued to the television or playing dominoes with his buddies. My mother, Linda, fills her days in the kitchen or gossiping across the fence with neighbors. And then there is Emily, my 25-year-old sister. To my parents, she is the crown jewel of the family. The golden child. The one who never has to do wrong and never has to lift a finger. They insist she is too young to work, or that someday she will find her path. Meanwhile, I am breaking my back so everyone else can live comfortably. The real problem started one afternoon in April. I had just come back from a 12-hour shift. My feet were swollen, and my back screamed in pain. I dropped onto the couch, praying for a little silence. Instead, Emily bounced into the dining room with the biggest smile I had ever seen. "I am getting married," she shouted, holding out her hand so we could all see the shiny ring on her finger. My parents jumped as if lightning had struck them. My mother rushed to hug her, crying with joy. My father kissed her forehead and declared it was the best news of the year. I managed only a half smile. It was not that I did not want her happy. But deep inside, a knot twisted in my stomach. I knew this meant trouble for me. "Congratulations, Em," I said, forcing my voice to sound steady. "So, who is the lucky man?" "His name is Mark," she answered, grinning ear to ear. "He is an accountant with a great job. We are getting married in 3 months. And it is going to be perfect." My parents could not stop praising her. I stayed quiet, sipping water, waiting for the excitement to die down. But then she dropped the real bomb. "Mark will cover half of the wedding," Emily said. "But you need to cover the other half. We need $20,000 to make this wedding exactly the way we want." The room went silent. I could feel my parents' eyes drilling into me like I was nothing more than a cash machine. My mother was the first to speak. "Daniel, you have always been the responsible one in this family. Surely you can help your sister, right?" I froze. Help her with what? My paycheck barely covered the bills, and whatever little I managed to tuck away was meant for emergencies. I did not have $20,000. I did not even have $2,000 sitting around. "Mom, I do not have that kind of money," I said, trying hard to keep my voice calm. "You know everything I earn goes right back into this house. Where exactly am I supposed to pull $20,000 from?" My father's face tightened as if I had insulted him. "What do you mean you do not have it?" he barked, raising his voice. "You are always working. You must have savings. Stop being selfish, Daniel. This is your sister's wedding." "Selfish?" I shot back, my blood starting to boil. "I pay for the lights, the water, the groceries, everything. Who keeps this house standing? You. Mom. Emily. No, it is me. And now you expect me to just create money out of thin air." I turned toward Emily. "Why do you not ask her to get a job?" Emily's face twisted into pure offense, like I had just insulted her honor. My mother clutched her chest in her usual dramatic way. "How dare you talk to your sister like that," she yelled. "She is just beginning her life. And you, as her older brother, should be there to support her. Supporting her does not mean I have to fund her entire life, I snapped, patience gone. If Mark cannot cover the whole wedding, then Emily needs to step up and work. Or maybe you too, who say you are too old for jobs but somehow still have energy to go dancing on the weekends. My father stood up, jabbing his finger at me. Do not cross the line, Daniel. Family comes first. You are not doing anything for yours. You are just jealous. That word hit me like a punch to the gut. Jealous. Me. The one who drags himself out of bed at 5 in the morning every single day to keep all of them fed and warm. I shot up from the sofa, furious. I am not jealous. I am the only one in this house who works. If you want wedding money, go find it yourselves. I have nothing more to give. I stormed into my room and slammed the door behind me. From the hallway I could hear my mother muttering about my terrible attitude and Emily whining that I never supported her. I threw myself onto the bed, staring at the ceiling, asking myself why I was always the villain in this family's story. The days that followed were cold and tense. My parents hardly spoke to me, and when they did, it was with sarcastic little remarks about how selfish I was. Emily, meanwhile, acted as though I had destroyed her future. I told myself I did not care. But deep inside, it cut deep. After all, I had always been the one carrying everyone's weight, and now they were treating me like I was the outsider. A week later my father came home with a strange grin plastered on his face. He sat down at the dining table, cleared his throat like he was about to announce great news, and said he had borrowed $10,000 from a friend to help with the wedding. My mother clapped her hands, Emily squealed like she had just won the lottery. I stayed silent. That money was not a gift. Loans always come with strings attached. And I already knew who they would expect to untangle those strings, me. Daniel, my father said, locking eyes with me, I hope now you'll make an effort for your sister. We don't want her to feel unloved. I told you already, Dad. I don't have money, I said, drained from repeating the same answer. And if you borrowed it, then you'll need to figure out how to pay it back. You are so ungrateful, my mother cut in, shaking her head with disgust. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us. I didn't even bother to answer. Fighting was pointless. I walked off to my room. But after that day, something changed. They didn't just ignore me anymore, they looked at me with contempt. Every time Dad passed by, he muttered, "You don't turn your back on family." Mom sighed loudly whenever the wedding came up, like I was the villain in her soap opera. Emily barely spoke to me, except to post constant updates online, flashing her ring, her dress fittings, the flowers, the catering, all the things I was supposedly ruining by not handing over money. The closer the wedding got, the more suffocating the house felt. Mom was glued to Emily, planning every detail. Dad busied himself coordinating with the friend who lent him the money, though he never said how he planned to repay him. And me? I just kept working, covering the bills, grinding my body down while trying not to choke on the bitterness. Then, the day before the wedding, my grandparents arrived from 2 hours away. George and Helen, my father's parents. Unlike the rest of them, I had always felt close to my grandparents, especially my grandfather. He was a man of honor, a builder of his life with his own 2 hands. They hugged me warmly, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like someone in this family actually saw me. That evening, after dinner, my grandfather pulled me aside. His face was serious, lined with concern. "Daniel, I need you to do me an important favor," he whispered. "Of course, Grandpa. What's wrong?" He reached into his jacket and pulled out a thick envelope. My stomach tightened the moment I saw how heavy it was. "I just withdrew $30,000 from the bank," he said, lowering his voice. "This money is for something very important. I can't risk losing it, and I don't want to carry it around. You're the only one I trust. Can you keep it safe for me until I ask for it back?" I didn't even hesitate. My grandfather had never asked me for much, and if he was trusting me now, it meant the world. "No problem, Grandpa," I said firmly. "I'll keep it safe." "Thank you, my boy," he replied, patting my shoulder. "You're the only one I can count on." That night, I hid the envelope where I thought no one would ever find it. I told no one. Not my mother. Not my father. Not Emily. Grandpa asked for discretion, and he would have it. That night, I went to sleep thinking the money was safe and sound. But peace never lasts long in this house. The wedding day came, and the place was buzzing like a beehive. Emily floated around in her white dress, glowing like a movie star. Mom cried every 5 minutes, waving tissues like she was in a soap opera. Dad ran from corner to corner, pretending he was the master of ceremonies. Me. I slipped on an old suit from my closet and sat quietly in the crowd. I didn't feel like part of the family anymore. Just a guest. The ceremony itself was simple but beautiful. A small hall filled with white flowers and warm lights. Maybe 50 people total, uncles, cousins, friends of Emily and Mark, and my grandparents, George and Helen. Everyone laughed, danced, and clinked glasses. Everyone but me. Something inside told me trouble was coming. That trouble arrived at the reception. Emily climbed up on a chair, grabbed the microphone, and proudly told everyone she and Mark would be flying out on their honeymoon next week. People cheered, clapped. Then, with her best dramatic face, she added, "We still need a little more money for the hotel and flights, but I know my family will take care of me." Right on cue, my parents turned their heads toward me. Dad leaned close and whispered, "Daniel, at least help with the honeymoon. I am already in debt for the wedding. Don't embarrass me again." I clenched my jaw. "Dad, I already told you. I do not have money. I don't know why you keep asking me." Mom swooped in, her eyes full of reproach. "Because you are family. Don't be selfish." "Selfish?" I snapped, my patience gone. "Who pays for the electricity, the water, the groceries? Who keeps this house running? And I'm the selfish one because I cannot make $20,000 appear out of thin air. Find another solution." Emily, standing nearby, crossed her arms and gave me that hurt little girl look she had perfected years ago. "I didn't expect this from you, Daniel. I thought you'd want to see me happy." I didn't answer. I walked away and sat in a dark corner of the hall, far from their laughter and music. The party rolled on without me. Around midnight, Dad claimed he was tired and slipped out early. Nobody paid attention. They were too busy drinking and dancing. The celebration dragged on until 4 in the morning. I stumbled home exhausted, but uneasy. Something felt wrong. The next day, I woke up with a pounding headache. The first thing I did was check under the mattress, just to calm my nerves. My hand reached down. Nothing. My heart stopped. I searched again, and again. The envelope was gone. $30,000, vanished. I sat on the edge of the bed, pale, cold sweat dripping down my back. Nobody knew about that money. Nobody but me. Then I remembered Dad leaving the wedding early. My stomach sank. I rushed to the dining room. He was sitting there, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. "Dad," I said, trying to steady my voice. "Did you take the money I had hidden?" He chuckled, a nervous laugh that made my skin crawl. "What did you think? That I didn't know you had savings?" he sneered. "You're selfish, Daniel. Your sister needed help and you wouldn't lift a finger. I took care of it." I stared at him, frozen. I gave Emily $20,000 for her honeymoon. Paid for the hotel, the flights, everything. And I used the other $10,000 to pay back the loan for her wedding. Don't play dumb, you should be thanking me. I know you had that money saved. I froze. My whole body went cold. "Dad, that money wasn't mine," I said, my voice trembling. He laughed, sharp, cruel. "Stop pretending, Daniel. Don't be ridiculous." Before I could answer, the front door creaked open. My grandfather George stepped inside, smiling, ready to say goodbye before he and Grandma Helen headed back to their city. His face lit up, until he saw mine. "My son, what's wrong?" he asked. Then his voice sharpened. "The money I gave you to keep safe, where is it? I need it back now." My father's face went pale. His eyes widened like I'd never seen before. For the first time in my life, he was speechless. "Grandpa," I started, choking on my words. I didn't want to betray my father, but I couldn't lie either. "What's going on, Daniel?" my grandfather pressed, his voice rising. "Give me back the $30,000 I trusted you with." The truth ripped out of me. "Dad spent it." "What?" my grandfather roared, snapping his head toward my father. "Frank, what did you do?" My father threw up his hands as if that could calm the storm. "Dad, I didn't know it was yours. I thought it was Daniel's. He's always hiding money. He's selfish." "Shut up," my grandfather thundered. I had never heard him roar like that. His voice shook the walls. "That money was to pay the mortgage on my house. Without it, your mother and I will be on the street. How could you?" The door opened again. Emily bounced in, grinning ear to ear, completely blind to the chaos around her. "Dad! Thanks to the money you gave me, I booked the hotel and flights for the honeymoon," she squealed. Dad tried to hush her, but it was too late. My grandfather had heard every word. His face turned crimson with rage. "You have 3 days to bring me back that money, Frank," he said, his voice trembling with fury. "I don't care if you're my son, if you don't, I'll sue you." And just like that, he stormed out, taking Grandma by the arm, leaving a crushing silence behind him. Dad collapsed into a chair, sobbing like a broken man. But instead of admitting what he'd done, he turned his rage on me. "This is your fault, Daniel," he screamed, slamming his fist on the table. "Why didn't you tell me the money belonged to my father? If you had told me, none of this would have happened. Now I'm in this mess because of you." I crossed my arms, the fury boiling inside me. "My fault?" I spat, my voice shaking with rage. "After years of paying the bills, carrying this family on my back, giving up my own life so you could live in comfort. Now it's my fault." I stared at him, disgusted. "You stole something that wasn't yours, Dad. You went through my things. That's on you. Not me. You stole $30,000 that didn't belong to you." My voice shook with fury. "How was I supposed to know you'd sneak into my room like a thief?" Dad's face turned crimson. He shot up from his chair, veins bulging in his neck. He took a step toward me, raising his hand. For a second, my stomach knotted. But this wasn't the old Daniel anymore. I clenched my fists. I stood my ground. "Don't touch me," I said, my voice sharp as steel. "I'm sick of this, sick of you, of Mom, of Emily. Sick of carrying everything while you treat me like garbage." His eyes widened. He lowered his hand slowly. Breathing heavy like a trapped bull, but saying nothing. That was the moment I knew, there was no turning back. I went to my room, grabbed my backpack, and started packing: clothes, laptop, documents, charger. Each item lifted a weight off my chest. When I walked back into the dining room, they stared at me like I was a traitor. "I'm not selfish," I told them. "I'm the only one who kept this house standing. But not anymore. Figure it out yourselves." And I left. The afternoon air hit my face, cool, fresh. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I moved into a small apartment downtown. Stopped paying their bills. Focused on myself. Life wasn't easy, but it was mine. A month later, the storm broke. Dad never got the $30,000 back. The bank foreclosed on my grandparents' house. And my grandfather, he kept his word. He sued his own son. I testified. It hurt, but I couldn't lie for someone who betrayed me. Dad went to jail. Mom moved in with Emily and Mark. Emily, as always, lived carefree, honeymoon, social media, her perfect little life. But my grandparents? They had nowhere to go. So they came to live with me. Every day, they thank me. And for the first time in my life, I feel free. Free of their weight. Free of their contempt. The future is uncertain, but I'll face it with my head high.